Hello guys, another Blender tutorial. Today we are speaking about navigation and the interface. Navigation in Blender is a little bit specific to me. You will need to press a lot middle mouse button. So for example, control middle mouse button to zoom in and out. Shift middle mouse button to pan. And middle mouse button to orbit around the object. Yeah. So, but you can change it if you want. I normally use another way, a little bit easier for me and for sculpting as well. So edit, preferences, input, and emulate this 3-button mouse. And in this case, to orbit around the object, I will press Alt and left mouse button. To zoom in and out, Control and Alt left mouse button. And to pan, Shift and Alt mouse button. It's completely up to you what to pick, but for me, I don't like clicking a lot on the middle mouse button because my middle mouse button is really tough. And my finger is a little bit suffering because of that. Next is the tilde key, which is used very often in Blender, and it allows us to switch the views, and it's very intuitive. So for example, Shift A mesh, and I will create the cube just to understand what I'm doing, and I will also create a cylinder and move it somewhere there. And with tilde key we can very quickly and very intuitively change the views, and this is view from camera, so I will create a camera for this. Another way of switching between the views is just Alt and middle mouse button and drag the mouse. And you can see here in the top left corner that it shows like top orthographic, or this is back orthographic, or bottom orthographic, but I don't like this method too much. The other way is on the numpad we can also change the views. Like if I press 1, I will go to front orthographic, 3 is the right, 7 is top. I'm not using it often, so yeah, I personally prefer using this because it's very cool and quick. So another function is view selected, which is very cool if you want to quickly view something and zoom at the same time. Just view selected. The hotkey for that is the comma key on the numpad. Another way of working in Blender and having different view at the same time is pressing Ctrl, Alt and Q, and we'll get these 4 windows. And this one is perspective, this is top orthographic, this is front, and this is a right view. And you can see what you are modeling from different cameras at the same time. Blender is very intuitive, and for example, if I click G to grab, and if I look down, if we see in the very bottom, we can see that there are different actions written, what we can make now with the cube. Like if I press the left mouse button, it confirms the action. Like I press G to move it and press left mouse button and confirmed. For example, for beginners it's very useful. Again, G and right mouse button to cancel, and you can see it right in the bottom of the screen. If we press now X, it will grab the object only along the x-axis. again the Y, and you can see it in the bottom, and Z. If we press C, that will clear constraints. That means I press C and I can move it freely wherever I want. Again, if we hold the control, it will snap our cube. For example, we can see it much better if I will go to the, for example, front orthographic view and zoom out a little bit, G and control, and you can see it's snapping to the grid. Very, very nice. Again, R to rotate, S to scale, and G to move. Another action is like I can hold the middle mouse and drag it, for example, here in the Y axis, and now I release it and I'm dragging my cube in the Y axis only. So pretty cool. Now here is the outliner in Blender, and we can see here in the outliner everything we have in the scene. Scene is the main screen where we see all our objects, like we see the cube now, the cylinder, the camera, and we can see everything here. And here are the data properties of our objects. And if we select, for example, camera and go here, we can see that here is the lens and the type, perspective, orthographic, panoramic, and focal length, lens unit, millimeters, field of view. Yeah, clip start, clip end. This is very, very helpful. So a lot of parameters that we can change here, like depth of field, camera. And for example, if we take our cylinder and click on here, this is the material tab, and apply the material, click new, and I'll give it, for example, blue color. And here we can see, if we click now this button, that material is applied. So whenever we click on the object, we can change its properties here in this panel. Like this is the object properties, like location. We can change the location of our cube. Rotation, we can rotate. I never use it like this, but we can see what we're changing here. Everything is changing there as well. And if we hit N, this side panel will pop up. And if we click on the item, and we can see that the same parameters are changing. Also, if we scale it, we can see that scaling parameters are changing. Using this tab is modifier tab, and yeah, a lot of modifiers here we have, and we can use them. And for that, I will make separate videos, I think, because it's huge topic. So this is the render properties. This is the render engine Eevee. We can change it to workbench or cycles. This is the output properties. We can set up the resolution of the image, aspect X, Y, frame rate, render region, and everything related to it. This is the output folder. For example, if you want to save your rendered image in a specific folder, you just click on this button and pick your desired folder. And this is the texture properties. This is the material, object data properties. And here we can see the UV maps, for example. And we can, by the way, make several sets of UV maps for the single project, and we can delete it. And again, back to the outliner, this is the cameras, right? And what is this? What does this mean? Like, for example, this means that disable in the render. For example, if I click off this one, all of the things in this collection, they will be invisible when we will be rendering. You can see it in the viewport, but if you render this scene, you will not see it. And you can disable it. That's very handy. For example, if you have reference image in the back and you don't want it to appear in the render, you just select your reference image here and disable. And this is the disable in the viewport. For example, you can disable in the viewport this cube, but in the render it will appear on your image, right? Another cool thing in Blender is this selectable. For example, if I uncheck this, I will not be able to select this cube anymore. And that's also cool for the reference image. If you put the reference in the back and you don't want to select it accidentally, just do this. The same you can do for the whole collection, and nothing is selectable now. Here in the top we have some top menus like file. Here we can create a new file like new general and don't save. And we have a new general file. Open, we can open any file that we want. Open recent, there is the recent files that I was working, saved here. Recover, last session, autosave. Save as. Link, this is using this, we can link another Blender file here in this file. And for example, I have another Blender file with some different props and I want to use them in this scene. So with this link I can reference them. I'll be seeing these objects here in the scene, but actually they will not be in the scene. So if I'll be changing them in that Blender file, they must be changing here as well. Again, import different kind of files we can import here, like STL, OBJ, it's called wavefront in Blender, and FBX, Alembic are one of the most often used. Import, export. Again, what Blender users often use is this edit and preferences, and we can change everything we want here. And for example, add-ons, we can install them here and activate or deactivate and use it. Next is different tabs like modeling, sculpting, UV editing, texture painting, shading, animation, rendering, compositing, geometry nodes, and scripting, and everything you may want to use. Another interface thing here in Blender is this side menu. So we can activate, we can simply move it like this and change its shape here, or simply click T as a hotkey for it and use it. This is the toolbar actually. So different tools are here. For example, if I will make a mesh and hit tab to edit it, we can see that this bar became much longer, and a lot of tools we can use now, like bevel, insert faces, extrude, add cube. On the right we have another sidebar here, and we have by default 3 tabs here. First is the item, like it's showing the location, rotation, and the scale of this object here, and its dimensions. So X, Y, Z, everything is showing 2 meters, which means that our cube is 2 meters in all axes. Here is the tool tab, which is very important. If I want to use different tools to modify this, like extrude, like the extrude, in this toolbar I can change its parameters. And if I'm going to change the tools here, we can see that here we can change its parameters. So next is the view. Here we can change the focal length of the camera, clip start and clip end, and local camera, render region, and view lock, camera to view, and everything else. And if you are going to set up any add-ons, you will be seeing them here. Next we have a top right corner icons here, and first one is view object types, and this is very cool. Like for example, if I'm clicking this one, I'm not seeing any mesh here anymore in the scene. I can also disable the selectability and visibility. For example, I can't select it anymore. And a lot of things like camera, I can just disable its selectability or visibility here. Next one is called show gizmo. We can, by the way, activate these gizmos here, like this one is move, and they will be always in the scene, I think. Yeah, if you click the object, you will be always having this gizmo here. And rotate, if you want it always to be here, like in Maya, you can just activate it. Or scale. Next one is the overlays. Here, if we click, we can disable or enable the floor, the axis, like these lines that are showing the axis, make them visible or invisible. The stats in the left up corner, this is the statistics of our cube, and the wireframe and face orientation. Next is toggle X-ray mode. Like if you click this on, you will be having a transparent mesh, and sometimes it's very useful when we are modeling. And the hotkey for this is Alt-Z. Next one is a wireframe. Oh, no, wireframe. And we can see the wireframe of our object. The Shift-Z is the hotkey for that. Next is viewport shading. This is the viewport shading. This is the solid viewport shading. This is the material preview, but I don't have a material right now. But if I will add one here and change the color, and for example make it metallic, and click on this, now I have it there. So I can change the metallic and roughness and everything I want here. And this is the rendered view. Right now I don't have lights, only basic HDRI light, so that's why it's not very much visible. We also can change or toggle between these views if we just click Z, and we can change it to wireframe or to render, to solid, or to material. We can also make it very quick, like Z render. Yeah, cool. What if I want to change or customize the viewport? I can just hover over this thing here and drag left, and I can make as many windows as I need. And if I want to close one window or just get rid of it, I can hover over this line between them and right mouse button and join areas, and I will get this, like which area you want to disable. And if I want to leave the right one, I'll just click this. Yeah, and we can change whatever we want here. For example, I can set the image editor here. Here I can set, for example, shader editor, and I can swap the areas, for example, and I can move this one here and again change it to 3D viewport, and I can move and manipulate my objects here in the viewport, and I can set this window for the as a rendering window with the camera, and rendered images will be saved here, and here is the shader editor, and I can do whatever I want here. If you are messed up everything and you just don't know what to do, because now layout is changed and you don't know how to come back to it, you can just hit plus here and go to general and layout, and you will come back to this standard interface. And this is, guys, it about the basics of the Blender interface. So if you like this video, hit like button. If you want to see more of videos like this, hit subscribe. And yeah, see you guys in the next videos. Bye bye.